Hello, everyone. I'm Bill Hammond, and I actually paid to see this. If you've been keeping up on my blog, actuallypaid.com, you'd know that we're right smack dab in the middle of this year's Oscar Blitz, and I have been railing incessantly against the Academy's horrible, completely ill-advised decision to relegate a full third of the categories to a pre-show ceremony. Boo. Fuck you. But we keep rolling along, and today we're going to cover one of the major categories here on the channel, Best Actor. If you're wondering why I'm only covering the major categories on the YouTube channel, well, it's my channel, barely anybody watches, so I get to control the content and do what I want. I'm not the Academy. Anyway, let's dive right in. Javier Bardem in Being the Ricardos.
I don't have any idea what
I'm
that
not
is.
an idiot. I didn't check the wrong box.
You saw the headline.
You can see the headline from outer space.
Then please.
Grandpa Fred raised me from when I was age 4. He cared about the little guy. He cared about workers' rights. It was a tribute to him. And to say that I checked
Grandpa
the
Fred,
wrong...
Grandpa Fred was wrong, Lucy. Yes, he didn't tell you the part where they throw your father in prison for the crime of being the mayor of a city. I was chased to this country, Lucy. Believe me, you checked the wrong box.
Look, I give Javier Bardem a lot of credit for at least giving the best impersonation of his real-life counterpart in Being the Ricardos. I certainly believe him as Desi Arnaz way the hell more than I believe Nicole Kidman could ever be Lucille Ball. But apart from that, there's just not all that much to recommend. Mostly because, by design, his character has to be the loser in Aaron Sorkin's grand equation. Because Sorkin has this really weird need to make sure that his lead is right in every situation, even when they're a complete asshole about it, that means someone always has to be wrong. And in this case, it's Desi. He patronizes Lucy, he mansplains to her all the time, and of course, every triumphant overture of love and support that he gives is meant to be some kind of ironic setup to reveal that he was in fact cheating on her the whole time, which anyone who saw this film already knew about, so there's no dramatic weight to it whatsoever. We're just counting down the minutes until every suspicion gets confirmed and is proven true in some faux clever way, making Desi look like a total jerk and Lucy look like a hero, even though most of the time this guy is bending over backwards to accommodate everyone, including his wife. But hey, she's the smart one and he's the cheater, so it doesn't matter. Nothing matters. He's just an asshole. Christ. The performance itself is fine, but it's nothing special. Benedict Cumberbatch in The Power of the Dog.
I've heard that you're brilliant.
You're going to want to keep your distance and just off the horse. Anyhow, so you don't want conversation. You've been listening to the piano and dancing, I guess. You dance? You didn't play? Sure did practice a terrible lot. See, you wouldn't think there's much difference between a cinema pit and a dinner party.
Where have you been, Phil? I could hardly eat worrying about you.
I didn't get washed up, so I didn't come.
Just run, grab your blanket for the ride.
Oh my god, he is such a good villain. And this kind of rare for a villainous turn to be properly rewarded. For example, over the last 30 years, there have only been 6 Best Actor winners for bad guy roles. Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter, Denzel Washington as Alonzo Harris, Sean Penn as Jimmy Markham, Forrest Whitaker as Idi Amin, Daniel Day-Lewis as Daniel Plainview, and just a couple years ago, Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker. There have been some antagonistic leads and anti-heroes in that time, but those are the only true baddies in the bunch. Most of the time, the villain is a supporting character, which gives the actor a lot more space to give a more memorable performance. So the fact that Cumberbatch is even given so much room to embody the character of Phil Burbank is special in and of itself. But even with that caveat in mind, he never fails to deliver just pure magic in every scene. He's cruel, he's calculating, he's brutal, he's brilliant, and he's devastatingly subtle. In size and frame, he's not all that different from the waifish Peter, whom he openly mocks for not being a real man. But he carries himself with such an imposing manner as to negate anything lacking in his raw physicality. Cumberbatch plays Phil Burbank as a man that you know could beat or kill you in an instant if he wanted to, but he'd rather toy with his prey, destroying their minds rather than their lives, and that is just delicious. He wants them to truly suffer in ways that can't be healed, drawing what little joy there is in his life by quietly asserting dominance. And yet, like so many great villains before him, there is real tragedy and sympathy for him. He grew up idolizing the late Bronco Henry, leading to a love that dare not speak his name, especially for its time in the Old West. As such, Phil learned to not only hide his sexual orientation, but to lash out at anyone who showed signs of it, that beauty that he could never embrace. That's why he eventually takes a shine to Peter and trains him unto his own demise, because he sees in the boy the same insecurities that he once had, and perhaps even the same attraction. He is ultimately a tragic figure because of his own self-loathing, and because the instant he lowers his guard, it spells his doom. The fact that Cumberbatch allows us to see that inner pain mix and inform the outward torments makes this one of the finest performances of his entire career so far. Andrew Garfield in Tick, Tick, Boom.
All right, I'm sorry. I'm not allowed to talk about my needs. What needs?
Did I say that?
You didn't have to say it, it's implied.
How is it implied?
You're the artist and I'm the girlfriend. That's how you feel, right?
I feel bad that you feel bad about me feeling bad about you feeling bad about what I said, about what you said, about me not being able to share a feeling.
Can we talk about this later, please?
When, Jonathan? When is later?
Not tonight.
The key to success of Garfield's performance in Tick, Tick, Boom is in how well he approximates the mannerisms of the late Jonathan Larson. There's a passionate mania to his otherwise gentle facade, which makes it hard for him to hide his emotions in a given moment. He's extremely stressed out and high-strung, evidenced by the near constant popping veins in his neck as he strains his head up and forward, eyes almost bulging out of his skull at times. And he does this all to maintain a grin, this outward face that he has to just keep up that everything's fine when it very much is not. And yet he's got just enough control to remain grounded even in the worst of situations, at least until he inevitably breaks down under the weight of his ambitions and the loss of his friends. Through it all, Garfield is able to sing with such a commanding force, whether the song is meant to be jubilant, mournful, or just downright odd. In a film that's about letting you inside the mind of a genius gone way before his time, Garfield makes sure that you get the entire mental picture, not just the polished bits, and that's saying something. Will Smith in King Richard.
Girls, spell civilization.
Civilization.
Okay, Mr. Williams,
Wait,
this
now,
is
hold
really
on,
not necessary.
Hold on. You want to check on the kids? Let's check on the kids. We got future doctors and lawyers, plus a couple tennis stars in this house. Now, I understand you got to do your job, even if some crazy neighbor do call talking foolishness. And I don't even mind you saying we hard on these kids. You know why? Because we are. That's our job, to keep them off these streets. You want to arrest us for that? Fine, but what you're not gonna never do is come knock on this door talking about you had to blow their brains out in them streets because they running with hoodlums and doing drugs and things. That's what you not never gonna say in this house. You want to arrest us for that? That's fine. You need to be arresting them parents at them tennis matches. That's who need to be getting arrested.
Will Smith knows how to play a charismatic lead. He's done it for the better part of the last 35 years. It's when he expands his range that he tends to get the Academy's attention as well as the voters. He earned his first nomination for Ali, playing the greatest boxer of all time, a man who capitalized on his fame and created a larger-than-life persona that Will Smith as a person or performer normally eschews. I mean, sure, he likes being the center of attention, and he's got that winking charm that he always uses, but Ali went to bombastic extremes with it. So to see Smith embody that, something he really doesn't do on his own, was pretty special. The next nomination was for The Pursuit of Happiness, showing a dramatic and vulnerable side that most of his mainstream work just doesn't have. It's a jarring change to see the guy from Men in Black or Independence Day desperate and homeless, crying in a bathroom stall with his son. It's just not a side we normally see out of him. Now, in King Richard, he's playing a resolute hard ass, committed to some nebulous master plan to turn his daughters into international superstars, often letting his ego get in the way of true progress. The whole follow through, or whatever the motion was in the tennis that kept contradicting the coach, as being one of those moments that just keeps going on throughout the entire film. But there is method to the madness here, because at his core, Richard Williams is simply a man who wants a way for his family to have a better life than the ghetto and its Mobius strip of crime and poverty. He's willing to suffer the slings and arrows for the greater good, outright inviting people to hate him and his stubborn confrontational nature if it serves the ultimate greater purpose. In doing so, Smith highlights many of the double standards that exist in a society that so many people insist is post-racial. The film itself ignores a lot of the lesser aspects of Richard Williams' life, though it doesn't exactly let him off the hook either for some of his shortcomings. But either way, Smith is there to answer the call of the moment, consequences be damned. And for what it's worth, as grating as Smith's voice can be for a good chunk of the film, the obligatory comparison footage during the credits shows that he was largely accurate in his imitation of the real Richard Williams, which kind of serves a meta purpose for the character as a man willing to use whatever means is necessary to get the needed result, even if it means wearing down your adversary with the most annoying Louisiana accent imaginable. Denzel Washington in The Tragedy of Macbeth.
He should have died hereafter. There would have been a time for such a word. Tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to the last syllable of recorded time. And all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out, brief candle. Life is but a walking shadow. A poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing.
There is just something oh so satisfying about a strong Shakespearean lead. And given all of Denzel's accomplishments to date, I'm kind of amazed he hasn't given such a turn in a film until now. He's done Shakespeare on stage a few times, but never in a movie, though you could argue roles like Alonzo Harris are inspired by the Bard's most memorable characters. In The Tragedy of Macbeth, he plays a man initially humble but soon possessed by his own ambition before becoming consumed by power and paranoia, to the point that by the time he meets his catastrophic end, he's tired, almost withered by the weight of all he's done. His is the most versatile performance of the bunch, as basically each of the play's 5 acts requires him to play Macbeth in 5 different styles, from charismatic, to murderous, to madman, to fearful tyrant, and then ultimately to a man so weary that his death is ultimate catharsis. And yet, Denzel never misses a beat. He carries each scene with the requisite gravitas, giving his line readings just enough inflection to match the mood of the given moment. The last time a Shakespeare performance was nominated for Best Actor was Kenneth Branagh in Henry V back in 1989, and no one has won the award for a Shakespearean turn outside of Laurence Olivier. Denzel has the chops here to make us wonder if it can happen again. All right, so there are nominees. Here's how I'd rank them if the Academy ever deigned to give me a vote, though they have to kind of pull their head out of their ass about a whole lot of other things first. In first place, my vote to win goes to Benedict Cumberbatch, followed by Will Smith, Andrew Garfield, Denzel Washington, and then Javier Bardem. And there you have it. Those are my rankings for Best Actor this year. Make sure to keep it locked on the blog, actuallypaid.com, for all the latest analysis, reviews, and Oscar coverage as we get deeper and deeper into the Blitz. And we'll be back next week with another video breaking down another major category. Until next time, I'm Bill Hammond. I actually paid to see this.